So today we're going to talk about RV water systems, what makes them leak, what kinds of leaks you can have, and to talk about how simple they actually are. And we'll get started. So to break this system down as simple as possible, water systems are basically a pump that stops pumping at a certain pressure. So it pressurizes the system and then it turns the pump off. Now when you use your faucet, it lowers the pressure and the pump turns back on. And there are two check valves. One check valve is to keep water from back pressuring into your water tank, your holding tank, when you're using the city water. And the other one is to keep water from back pressuring to your city water outlet when you're using the water pump. So that's pretty much everything. That's the entire system. And the rest of it is just tubes. So what can go wrong with the system? Well, your check valves are a big spot that can go wrong. And we'll talk about the check valves right now. So there's one check valve that's on your water pump itself, and this check valve keeps the city water, when you're hooked to the city water, from running into your holding tank. And if that check valve goes bad, what happens is when you're on the city water, it'll fill your holding tank up with water, and your holding tank will start leaking in the RV. So if you start seeing water on the floor of your RV and it's coming near your holding tank and you're hooked to the city water, there's a good chance that that check valve is bad on your water pump. So that's a good sign, because at least it's not something majorly serious, and that just means you need to change the check valve out that's on your water pump. The other check valve is on your city water connection. What this check valve does is when you're boondocking and you're using your holding tank and the pump kicks on, if this check valve is bad, water will come out here and it won't pressurize your system. So that's there's a check valve on that line. It's usually inside on the back side of that. But that's a good indicator that that's the valve being bad. Other ways to leak water are, of course, fittings. So generally these lines are going to hold. They're going to hold up because they're built very well. But the fittings themselves, like this little check valve here, this valve, there's a valve up here. So these valves can go bad. And same with any other fitting that you're looking around your RV. Fittings are the main things that are going to go bad on the system. So if you're seeing water laying around, look for dripping water coming out of here or any of your fittings. Those are good indicators. Also, I always suggest when you're winterizing your RV to winterize it with the RV winterizing fluid and not blowing out your system with a blow. There's a kit that you can blow out all the fluids out of your system. The reason why I say use the RV antifreeze is you're guaranteed to get your entire system covered with this antifreeze. It's going to be protecting your entire system throughout the winter from freezing up. If any of these fittings have water in them, they're going to crack and break, and that's going to be a water leak for your next season. So if you use antifreeze, you're running the antifreeze. And if it's an RV safe antifreeze, it's like a salt water or something. But it'll fill these joints and it will make sure that the antifreeze is in here, and then this won't crack. So the blowing out the joints thing, you're blowing it out, and maybe you didn't get it all blown out, and some of the water came back in here, and this had a little bit of water, it froze, cracked. Now that's done. Your water pump, same thing. You use the blowout system where you're blowing out your lines, and you didn't get all the water out of your water pump. Wintertime, it freezes up and cracks. So my suggestion is to always use the antifreeze that's for your RV and not blowing out your system. Antifreeze is guaranteed. It's not going to crack when it won't freeze, in other words. What are the leading causes of these water systems breaking and leaking in your RV? Well, number one is they're freezing. If you don't have the right antifreeze in there, then your joints are freezing and the check valves are freezing with water in them, and they're popping the seals, and they're just breaking because they're actually freezing up. And then season comes along and everything's leaking. Number two is high water pressure. If you're running city water in your RV and you don't have a low water pressure regulator, then you're putting extremely high water pressure into your RV. There's a good chance of it anyway, of that happening. I've been to a park that it was just massive, massive pressure on that system, and you could, when you pull the valve up, you can see the pressure, and I had to turn the little knob to turn it down quite a bit. So high water pressure gets in there and it just overloads your entire system and blows out the valves. The lines generally hold. It's just all your fittings and your valves and things like that that blow up. So when you're thinking, oh, water systems can handle high pressure, the lines can, but the valves and all the little gizmos in there cannot hold up to the pressure. And then there's simply mechanical failure. These parts are mechanical. There's a check valve that's going back and forth to make sure water's going, one direction and not both. And it's a mechanical device. And even the valves for turning on and off your water for your hot water tank, those are valves. They're a mechanical device, and they're going to fail. So it takes a long time to fail. So don't get me wrong on that, but they're going to fail. They're mechanical devices. So that's another cause of these water leaks. So that sums up everything we have about water leaks in your RV, at least for the water system on it, not the roof. Roof's another topic altogether. But if you like what I'm providing you, please subscribe, because you all make our channel happen. And we'll see you next episode.